We are on to the Real Challenge course now, and that's when we take this individual lesson of becoming enlightened and getting to our own aha knowing that this or something better is coming our way. And now we're bringing this new enlightened mindset into a group dynamic. Whoa, talk about complicated. And we have this example with this company, which is sincerely wanting to make a difference when it comes to diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging. In fact, they have a dedicated person in charge of that in the company. And yet this person is struggling with the dynamics that they see in their own organization. When they see the ego, grandiose ego in this case, raising its ugly head because there's a lot of competition going on internally towards one another instead of outward into the marketplace. And what is the fertile ground for that insecurity, that level 2 consciousness, that fear, self-doubt, and judgment? Well, of course, it's the unknown. And in this company, that's what we see. We see the whole structure of the company changing. First of all, the core services of the company changing because COVID and them having to restructure their offering, but also the CEO changing and how he goes about and he does things. And then some changes within leadership itself. So people are beginning to be afraid of like, okay, am I next? Am I the next one that might be cut? So what does that do? That makes the ego go, okay, well, I have to prove my worth because my feelings, see, we're back in chapter 1, my feeling of being enough is getting triggered here. My self-doubt, my fear, my limited thoughts of judgments of what could happen. So I'm gonna pop into my grandiose ego and prove I am enough. So we see a lot of this silo effect, this battling of these wills back and forth in these different departments instead of working in alignment with each other towards the vision, values, and goals. And the difficulty that they're having, even believing they have time for these collaborative conversations because they're not as profitable as they used to be with the change in structure. You know, whenever there's a change in structure, the bell curve goes down before it goes back up. And so this sense of urgency to make money is creating the fear, the self-doubt, and the judgment. So they hired me to work with each of the individuals, to work with that ego, to shift them to this intuitive alignment and enlightenment, but also the whole group as a collective consciousness. And we do a workshop to educate them on how to increase their gut intelligence and educate them on the whole idea of trusting your gut and that gut alert, but not reacting, and how the tendency is to go into that grandiose ego. I had them all take an assessment so they could see their relating style. And did they tend to go into the grandiose ego or did they tend to go into the underbelly of the ego? And I said to the CEO, you know, grandiose ego's not all bad. We just need to shift it a little bit to ego strength. So after the workshop and educating them and some coaching sessions, we take them out to the challenge course. There's no better way for you to face your fear than when you go out to the challenge course. Because talk about fear in your face, you're standing and climbing up a 40-foot pole. And while you have a safety net and harnesses and everything, the mind can still chatter and say, well, what if they let go? What if they're not paying attention? What if this rope breaks? What if, what if, what if, what if? And that's level 2 consciousness, folks. Fear, self-doubt, and judgment. And so, as we go through the challenge course, we see all these different dynamics occur. And as we have our little chat around the campfire, I asked the group to identify What were those dynamics? And just naming them again takes us out of level 2 consciousness, where it's kind of like over here and you kind of know what's going on, but you haven't really named it and become self-aware of it. And instead you put it on the big screen TV of your mind, you turn up the volume and you really take a look at it and you say, yep, those are the dynamics of our organization. And that's how we're staying stuck. Imagine all that energy of all that ego dynamics going on between us, and we can't really play nice in the sandbox together and work in synergy to make it happen out there, because we're getting stuck in the muck of our egos. And they did a really good job of looking at that, being honest about that, and owning it, and then talking about, okay, how are we going to bring that awareness back into the workplace so that we can not only recognize it ourselves, but kind of call the bird out of the bush, call each other out on it. So we can say, hey, here's what I'm seeing, how might we? You know, again, not sitting in silent judgment around the other person, talking behind their back, creating all this, but just like, hey, I think this is getting in the way. Let's have this collaborative conversation. How might we move forward?